All right, so I'm sure most of you by now have heard about Hurricane Ida, which has completely been obliterating the Gulf Coast, particularly Louisiana and Mississippi. I wanted to just come on here and talk about really what one of the biggest takeaways from this is. So I'm going to go to this article right here, how climate change made Hurricane Ida worse. Now, I'm sure we hear it all the time, how climate change is and global warming is making hurricanes stronger, but this really lays it out in good detail right here. Human caused climate change is making hurricanes more dangerous. They are producing more rainfall, moving slower once they make landfall, and generating larger storm surges along the coast. Hurricane Ida was a prime example of those changes, and scientists say storms like this will become more common as the planet warms. And these are just some pictures of the disastrous flooding that Ida has caused. It's right here in Biloxi, Mississippi, and Laplace, Louisiana, near New Orleans, as you can see. It's right here, fueled by the warmer than normal water in the Gulf of Mexico. That's important. Hurricane Ida destroyed homes, uprooted trees, and cut off power to more than 1 million residents. And for the record, I live in Connecticut. It's a state with little under 3.6 million people. The populations of Louisiana and Mississippi are within that range, like within 3 to 4 million people, like more than 3 million, less than 4 million. So that's more than a quarter. I mean, I think that's 1 million residents in Louisiana from other sources I've seen. Again, Louisiana, about the same population as Connecticut. I mean, I'm not in Connecticut right now, I'm in Massachusetts, but Connecticut is where I'm from, and Louisiana has about the same population. So that's more than a quarter of Louisianans without power. And experts and people say it could be for up to weeks that they don't have power. And as we can see right here, Catherine Hayhoe, chief scientist at the Nature Conservancy and professor at Texas Tech University, said an important distinction is not the frequency of the storms, but their severity. She says, we've always had hurricanes, we've always had heat waves, we've always had floods and droughts, but what climate change is doing is loading the weather dice against us. It's sneaking in when we're not looking, changing the numbers as we're rolling and asking, what is this? How could this happen? The answer to that is climate change. And we can see right here, hurricanes are being made more intense by the warming ocean, which has absorbed approximately 90% of the planet's excess heat trapped by human-produced greenhouse gas emissions, and the planet is trapping roughly double the amount of heat than it did nearly 15 years ago, and as the planet heats up, storms get stronger. So this shows that the rate at which the Earth is warming is, needless to say, unsustainable. This was already confirmed in the recent UN IPCC report, which says that we are gonna see the effects of climate change. I mean, this is it right here, and we can't stop them. The least we can do is mitigate them and try to make sure that they don't get so far out of hand. And as it says right here, the recent State of the Science United Nations report on climate change concluded that the global proportion of cyclones ranging from category 3 to 5, the most intense storms, has increased over the last 4 decades due to rapidly warming ocean temperatures. And it says right here, rain events are also forecast to intensify by about 7%. That is crazy. This is a prime example here of how, again, burning fossil fuels, emitting mass amounts of CO2 into the air, not sustainable. And especially in Louisiana, because right here, NOLA, New Orleans, is considered to be the Cancer Valley of Louisiana and is ripe for environmental racism. As UN experts here say, this form of environmental racism, for the record, this is right here. It's located in the southern state of Louisiana along the lower Mississippi River, where enslaved Africans were forced to labor. It has nearly 150 oil refineries, plastic plants, and chemical facilities. And this form of environmental racism, the experts say, poses a serious and disproportionate threat to the enjoyment of several human rights of its largely African-American residents, including the right to equality and non-discrimination, the right to life, health, and an adequate standard of living and cultural rights. And, it says right here, the reason it's environmental racism is because the cancer risks in predominantly African-American districts could be at 104 and 105 cases per million, while those threats in predominantly white districts range from 60 to 75 per million. So this shows right here how Louisiana, thanks to I mean, the oil and gas industry, obviously, it's big in this part of the U.S. because it's Louisiana. It's along the Gulf Coast. It's close to Texas. So this is why the oil industry is so big in Louisiana, and they're actively ruining the lives of their people. And while you could say that Louisiana getting hit by Ida was inevitable, if this had not been the case, had Louisiana not had its cancer alley, then it is reasonable to say that the effects could have been, while they still would have been there, not as bad, just because of how bad air quality is in Louisiana. And not only that, but Joe Biden, this was back in November after he won his election, his first climate appointment is a fossil fuel industry ally. His liaison to the climate movement is Representative Cedric Richmond. This is a congressman from NOLA, former congressman now. He was one of the top recipients of fossil fuel industry money as among the House Democratic caucus. This is right here. During his 10 years in Congress, Richmond has received roughly $341,000 from donors in the oil and gas industry, the fifth highest total amongst House Democrats. And as you can see right here, his congressional district is home to 7 of the 10 most air-polluted census tracts in America. And it's not like, oh, he takes this money, but it doesn't influence him because he has a pretty good environmental voting record. No, that's not the case. Richmond has joined with Republicans to vote to increase fossil fuel exports and promote pipeline development. He also voted against Democratic legislation to place pollution limits on fracking, and he voted for GOP legislation to limit the Obama administration's authority to more stringently regulate the practice. Overall, Richmond has received a lifetime rating of 76% from the League of Conservation Voters, and he scored a 46% in 2018. That's less than half. For a Democratic representative, that's pathetic. One of the lowest ratings of any Democrat in Congress. There you go. And so that just goes to show how Biden is not really taking this seriously. If this is the kind of people that he's stacking his cabinet with, and this is who he expects to be a climate champion, yeah, right, because he represents a district, he represents the cancer alley. Well, he did recently, and that's where he's from, and now he's in top position in the administration. We're supposed to take him seriously when we have his record. No, this goes to show that Biden is not taking this seriously, but are we really surprised? So needless to say, there needs to be action now. And, I want to leave, I know it's hard to do, but I kind of want to leave this video on a little bit of hope. Take this as your motivation to fight, because, there are people out there who say, you know what, maybe we go down, but we're going to go down guns blazing. And, organize in your community, push hard to support efforts such as a Green New Deal, support efforts on your home turf, in your home state, in your community, or if you're like me, at your college campus, and make those in power, make them uncomfortable. I know it sounds cliche, but power the people. And if you want to help in the immediate future, I'll leave a link below to donate to mutual aid disaster relief. Under here, you have Hurricane Ida, and these are some of the mutual aid efforts that they are supporting. For instance, the New Orleans Mutual Aid Group on Venmo, which I did donate to. Again, I'll leave a link for that below. You can check out, pick which one you want to donate to. They're all doing good work. But yeah, that's it. So it's grim times out there, but let's take it as a means to fight further. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like, subscribe for more. Check out my other discussion videos over here, as well as my latest video right over here. And I'll see y'all comrades on Friday. Peace out, everybody.